What's the dumbest excuse someone gave while cheating? I had this feeling something was wrong when my husband started coming home with wet hair every evening. He said he was going to the gym after work, but his gym bag was always empty and he never smelled like sweat. For weeks, I noticed little changes. He started password protecting his phone, smiling at random texts, and buying new clothes I'd never seen him wear. We'd been married 5 years, so I knew his patterns better than he did. One night, he said he had to work late on a big project, but when I called his office, they said he'd left hours ago. That's when my stomach dropped and I decided to follow him. I parked across from his office the next day and waited. When he walked out at exactly 5:30, he didn't head toward the gym or home. Instead, he drove to a small coffee shop downtown I'd never heard of. Through the window, I watched him sit with a cup for nearly an hour, checking his watch and looking at the door. Just when I thought maybe he really was just working, a woman walked in, tall, confident, wearing a bright red dress. The second she sat down, his whole face changed. He leaned forward, laughed at everything she said, and even reached across to touch her hand. They talked for 40 minutes before leaving together. I followed them to an apartment building a few blocks away. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. They disappeared inside and I sat there, crying silently, wondering if our whole marriage was a lie. I don't know what made me do it, but I got out of the car, walked to the building, and checked the directory. There was her name, 3B. I took the elevator up and stood outside her door, listening to their voices and laughter inside. When I finally knocked, there was silence, then footsteps. He opened the door and his face went completely white. Behind him, I could see candles lit, wine glasses on the table, and her standing in the kitchen doorway looking confused. I didn't scream or throw things. I just asked, why? He looked around like he needed an escape route. Then he said the stupidest thing imaginable. She's my Spanish teacher. I've been taking secret lessons to surprise you for our anniversary trip to Barcelona. I stared at him, speechless. Then I looked at her and asked in perfect Spanish if that was true. I'd studied it for 4 years in college and spent a semester in Madrid. He didn't know because he never bothered to ask. She didn't answer, just grabbed her purse and walked out, leaving him standing there. He tried to explain, saying he didn't want me to know because the lessons were expensive. Then he actually asked if we could go home and talk about it. I looked at the romantic dinner they'd prepared, at his cologne-soaked shirt, at the guilty look on his face, and I laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because finally, everything made sense. I posted one picture that night, his face when I caught him, with a caption about his Spanish lessons. I didn't expect it to blow up, but people kept sharing it and creating memes about the worst excuses they'd heard. His family saw it first, then his co-workers, then everyone. His boss called me to say how sorry he was, and his mother stopped speaking to him. 2 weeks later, he texted asking me to take down the post because it was destroying his reputation. I didn't reply. The funniest part wasn't the lie or even how bad it was. It's that if he'd bothered to learn anything about me in 5 years, he would have known I spoke Spanish all along.